everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this Quilt Star design on a card. And we're going to be using the Blue Skies papers and also the UV coated papers and then some papers from Stitched Together. So you want to choose a tight, small print that doesn't have any sort of direction to it for your print paper. And this card is great for scraps, so hang on to those scraps because all you need is 4 1x1 squares of one design and then 4 1x1 squares of another design. So I'm cutting these 1 by 1. So I've got my 4. And then I'll put the other design in there and I'll cut 4 more squares of 1 inch by 1 inch. I love this design. It's a lot of fun to do. You can make some really pretty cards with it. Okay, so then you want to take your 1x1 squares and cut them on a diagonal from corner to corner. So just lay them down in your trimmer along that track and then cut. So we're going to cut each of those 1x1 squares so that they're little triangles. So when you're finished, you'll have 16 triangles. Okay, so now you can take a base paper. I'm just using white daisy that's cut at 4x4. You can use a pattern paper too if you want to. Something that's really light and it won't distract from the design. And then I'm just gluing everything down with Bonding Memories broad tip glue pen. And you start, I'm using the grid on my Versamat, and you go 1 inch in from each side, and that's where you put your point of your triangle. And then you just alternate patterns. And then you take the second triangle and put it next to the first one. And I'm just going to start building the star. And then you take the other pattern, and that one also, the point goes down 1 inch from the top corner of the white daisy. And then you fill in the space with the next triangle. And so I'm just going to go around alternating patterns. I'm going to go ahead and let you watch me do the entire star just so you kind of get the rhythm of the pattern. There's so many different combinations that you can use for patterns to do this design with. That's why it's great to just hang on to those scraps. If it's larger than 1 inch, I'm keeping it. Can always use your little scraps to make more cards. So that one's in 1 inch from the bottom, that corner. And then we'll get that triangle in, and then the last one, that's 1 inch from the top, and fill that last one in. Okay, so now I'm going to take the entire panel and I'm going to emboss it. Now I'm using the Stitched Circles embossing folder, but there's a new quilt embossing folder in the new catalog. And that one would be awesome for this card. I don't have it yet. So I'm using this one for now, and it works really well too. It's kind of a quilty kind of design. Okay, so now let's start building our card. So I'm just kind of playing around now with color here and deciding how exactly I want to layer my card with the colors. So I've decided I want to use that lagoon piece because it's got like stitched lines with the UV coating. You might not be able to see it on camera, but it looks really cool. So now I'm picking out a layering color to make that white panel pop. And I've decided on sapphire, but I'm just going to use a really skinny border. So I'm going to cut that at 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. Just want a touch of color around the edges of that white daisy. So now I'm cutting my card panel at the standard A2 size at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I'll start building my card. It's going to be a side folding A2 card. And now I am taking a piece of yellow lemonade paper, and this is the May stamp of the month. You can get this for $5 with any $50 purchase in my online store. And it has a lot of great sentiments for making cards. So this one that I've chosen says, "You're the best." And this one is new. I've used another sentiment in the stamp set before, but this particular one is new. So I'm seasoning it with a microfiber cloth. I'm just rubbing it until it kind of looks cloudy. And that takes the coating from manufacturing off of it so that it can take ink and stamp clearly. And then I'm stamping it off on some scratch paper there just to season it and get it ready. So I'm inking it up with black ink. And this is also another scrap from another card that I made. And what do you know? It's exactly the right width. So the height is a little too high, so I'm going to go ahead and trim that down to about 3/4 of an inch, maybe a smidge smaller, so that it'll fit at the bottom of the card. Okay, so now I've got a piece of craft foam. I'm going to pop that panel up just a bit. And these are also scraps. I'm just kind of figuring out what's going to fit there. And now we can start building the card. So I'm just gluing everything down with the broad tip glue pen. We'll layer that lagoon piece down. And then I'm going to glue my art panel to the sapphire square. And then I'll glue the foam, the craft foam, to the back of that sapphire square. And this is just the Tombow white glue. It seems to work the best with the craft foam. And then I'll attach it to the front of my card. And it's just got a teensy tiny border around the top of it. And I'm setting a block on it just so that it will flatten out and set up correctly. Sometimes the wet glue can make the cardstock buckle just a smidge, so putting something heavy on it flattens everything out. And now I'm using some thin foam tape for my sentiment. I'm going to pop that as well. These are wood buttons, and they're from the Stitched Together collection. And sometimes they have the center holes are not punched out completely. So I'm just kind of choosing which button I want to use. So for the ones that haven't the little center part of the holes haven't been completely punched out, you just take a piercing tool and punch them out the rest of the way. And what you know, out of all those buttons, the one that I chose happened to not work for me. It wasn't completely cut, so I picked that other one, and it worked. Once in a while you get one that doesn't want to work with you. So I'm using some twine. This is white twine, and it has a small gold thread through it. And I'm just going to make like a little X with those 4 holes for the button to fill them in. And I apologize, I wound up being off camera just a smidge. So I put those through, and then I attach my button to the front of the card with glue dots. So that's my finished card, and here's some close-up shots. And then I have another design that I'll have some close-up shots as well, the same star but with other papers. I'll show you that right here. So I appreciate you taking some time and watching my video today. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please do so. I would really appreciate it. And thanks for watching.